lift game to rival China, Wong says to the US. The United States must lift its game and step up its economic engagement with the Asia-Pacific if it wants to compete with China. That's what Foreign Minister Penny Wong will tell Australia's closest ally in a speech in Washington. Then it's really interesting to see all of the pictures and the talking points coming out of Washington with the AUSMIN chats that are happening. We saw today that the US Secretary of State said that we'll of course jump in and help with any gaps in your defence. But it's going to be interesting to see when it all comes down to brass tacks, when it comes down to how they're going to function within the South Pacific and what we demand from America, whether that turns a little bit frosty.
Yeah, well, I thought it was fascinating to hear how they spoke. The Americans spoke about mateship. They used mate quite a few times. That was a cornerstone of the relationship. But mates have to be honest with each other, and that's what Penny Wong certainly did. She dropped some hard truths on the Americans over there. I admire her moxie, saying that they need to get serious about what they're doing in the South Pacific in terms of investment. They need to ask South Pacific nations what they want, and it's going to be things that China is giving them. Like we've seen China with the Belt and Road Initiative provide funding for infrastructure projects, and it's bought their loyalty. And now America has to come to the party as well, open up the purse strings and start splashing around the cash in the South Pacific.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because we saw, we had Nancy Pelosi just before the midterms fly into Taiwan for God knows why to receive some type of weird award, and that just really had everyone's hackles up. And then we saw exactly what happened with the Solomon Islands, where we had China sort of swoop in and say, here, we'll bankroll your military and your ports and things like that. So the US really have to start, putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, I think they probably look at our relationship, the US-Australia relationship, as us being the dominant player in the South Pacific, and by extension, we're working on behalf of, say, our alliance or our relationship with the US when we're engaging with South Pacific neighbours. What Penny Wong has now prompted the US to say is, sure, that has worked up until now, but now the Pacific Islands, they want to hear from you directly from the United States, because as Ben just said there, that's exactly what the Chinese Communist government is doing. They're blindsiding Australia and then obviously blindsiding America to some extent by going into the Solomon Islands, for example, and wooing them with all sorts of promises, which if the US isn't careful, sure, they can set up military might here in the north of Australia, but that's not what the Pacific Islands want. They don't just want a military base. They want aid, they want support, they want an opportunity for trade agreements, they want diplomatic ties, economic opportunities. They want to be considered as a world player, not just a small piece on the chessboard. And I think that's really important. Brave of Penny Wong, but as Ben said, it also sort of reminds me a little bit of that conversation that the US President and the UK President had in Love Actually. That's perhaps the kind of Penny Wong moment that she was trying to address in the US today.
Oh, it's going to be interesting to see the fallout or how the American press treat it, that's for sure.